Nice shirt, dude.
Thanks, man. I've seen through all of your artists that you've liked. I know, like you're a fan of Smiths as well, so I see that too. But
Love them.
man, before we begin, just like how are you doing? First and foremost, man, how are you doing? How's life on your end with everything going on?
I'm all right. It's definitely been really crappy knowing that we worked really hard, like building up like this whole package of the NoDisco thing with the show and all that, and then for it, we played one show, and then literally COVID happened.
Yeah,
So that's just been like a really tough thing to deal with because I just know how much work and time we invested into like building this and then launching it. So just taking the different approach now is like fine, but it's just I wish
yeah,
I wish it could have been different.
for
You know?
sure. Yeah, I think it's the same with me. I like didn't think that the idea of concerts would be gone or like interviewing in person, and now it's all over like Zoom and or Facebook video call that I've done as well. So it's like a new digital reality, which I didn't think would happen too soon. But yeah, man. To introduce myself, my name is Drill Osmond. Built Studio One back in September after a trip from London. I was planning on moving there because I write for Clash and things like that. But then
Yeah.
a lot of people were like putting the battery in the back of my head, like before you move out of Toronto, you should build your own thing. So I built this. It's a platform where I get to interview international artists across Canada, but most importantly, artists like you in Toronto, because I feel like knowing you're from Toronto, I feel like our city doesn't have too many platforms that like encompass so many different artists.
One
So
hundred.
so getting you on is like amazing. I know you've been doing music for a bit now, so I'm kind of late on the no disco way, but I'm glad to really get you on. I think your music's really really great. But before we really begin, man, can you just like briefly introduce yourself and then we'll just get started?
Yeah. So I'm No Disco. My name's Chris. Um, yeah. Started this project back in September and have released 4 songs thus far. The latest one being Unrelated, which came out like a week and a half ago. And yeah, I'm gearing up to release like a full length kind of mixtape by the fall, I think, depending on a couple factors, maybe very end of the year, maybe early 2021, especially because of COVID. Like it's kind of just like made the
Yeah,
timeline a little different, but yeah, it's a little brief little intro.
perfect, man. So getting started. So I know you grew up in Toronto, just like I did. But talk to me about what it was like growing up for you, and when you started building the your vinyl collection, and how when music really came into your life.
Yeah, I just remember ever since I was a kid just having like my iPod Classic and just constantly listening. Like the thing about me was I was definitely a listener before I was a musician, and even now I almost see myself as more of a listener than like a full-blown musician because I'm not the best guitarist in the world. I'm not the best drummer in the world. I'm not the best so many things, but I just am an avid listener, and that's how I kind of always learned how to play. So like when it came to piano or even guitar, it was just like absolutely by ear. Like I can't read music for the life of me. Um, I took vocal in high school and failed all the theory parts, and
Yeah,
then got like 90s in the performance parts, and so I got out of there with a 50. But yeah, just the vinyl collection thing is just it's just all I know how to do. I just love listening to and referencing people that I really look up to. So I don't know. Vinyl is just a way for me to do that, and I have like a great little sound system, and I just sit down and just go like,
yeah.
that's I need that snare.
And yeah, and that's like a large part of like what drew me into really wanting to have a conversation with you, because it's clear to me like you're a fan of music, and I think that is what makes like the best artists that are like real fans of music and like love what they do. Talk to me about yeah, that idea of what you're saying, how like you're more so like a listener and a fan, because even when it comes to your name NoDisco, there's like research behind it, there's meaning behind it, and
Right.
you reference so many different artists, and whether it's Depeche Mode, whether it's Morrissey, whether it's bossa nova, like so many different like variations to what you listen to, because you're so open minded to it. Talk about that part of it, because it's like amazing to know like you're like, a fan of music.
Yeah, because what I kind of realized when I started like producing with like my really close collaborator Milano was all songs need like a really strong idea. So for me, in listening to so many different types of music and I would just like research on like rate your music discogs and just going through Spotify and just all the discovery aspects of it. I just wanted to. I was constantly on the lookout for just like production ideas and all that, because I kind of just realized that all art is kind of borrowed in a sense, no matter how you want. How, like if you don't,
Yeah.
it's you have to. It's just the fact of it. So I just kind of became comfortable with that idea, and just listening to so many different types of music allowed me to have so many different types of ideas. So with Thoughts from Your Car, I wanted to make like a coming of age movie kind of indie rock song, but I wanted to, like, the thing with Milano and I is it's always like, let's do this, but then this throws something that totally doesn't make sense in it, so that people don't listen to a NoDisco song and be like, well, this is just another indie rock song,
Yeah.
or part of the new 1975 copycat stuff. Like, I don't want to be part of that at all. So with that song, um, we were just like, I was listening to a bunch of Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, like their stuff with Janet Jackson and SOS Band and all that. So I was just like, let's do one of their drum breaks and just like throw it in the bridge. And with Moonlight in My Bedroom, it's like, okay, well, this is like a modern day kind of pop EDM song, but let's throw like bossa nova in the bridge. I just always want, I don't want people to ever be able to like figure me out. I don't want to be like, I don't want to have a record that just kind of, you're just like, oh, okay, that fits into that sub culture of like indie rock or whatever. I just want to have an all encompassing, especially when it comes to like my debut record. I just want it to be so diverse that I kind of just want to like impress people, I guess. I don't know. I have like a complex with that.
No, I get that completely, because well, there's so many points to what you said. One, I do think we now live in this like music climate where like an artist can dabble in so many different genres, and that's more of an accepted thing, whether before or in the past. But also to your point of the importance of a debut record and wanting to like set the standard of, this is the type of artist that I am. I listen to a bunch of different stylistics and genres, and on the note of 1975 as well, they had a lot of flack as well with their identity of people saying, what are they? They're not a rock band. But now with their new records, there's more of a acceptance of, oh, they're making different type of records. But
Right.
for you as a fan of music and as an artist, when it came to releasing Thoughts from Your Car and releasing records, I know you said that your name took a long time to figure out, and then finally releasing records as an artist. How has that process been for you? Because I know it's clear you care so much about what you release in your music and your visuals. How, I guess, in two ways, how hard has it been to finally release records, because it's finally out in the world, but also how hard has it been to just make sure that what you're releasing is what your complete vision?
Yeah, like the thing is right now I'm sitting on like 20 songs that we've created within like the last 4 years that are all like being very carefully kind of released, because what I realized is I didn't have like this, label support from the beginning, and I don't have this like huge manager connect or anything. So it's like I know I have to start. It's not to say that these songs that I've released so thus far are like not what I'm extremely like.
Yeah,
I'm not extremely happy with them. I am, but we're just kind of saving songs that we think have like a bigger potential for when a fan base kind of accumulates more. Um, so I mean, it's just kind of like the reality of the industry now. Like if I kind of realized that I started this project at a super high note, and not to like talk myself up or whatever, but I purposely waited years and years and years to make sure that like the debut single was like what I would believe in for the rest of my life, because I know people will have like a first project that they're like, I
yeah,
just wanted out the gate to just be absolutely confident in everything. So yeah, now it's just like we have a bunch of songs done, but now that's why people ask me like, are you writing whatever? It's like, man, honestly, recently I just feel like I'm a marketer slash PR person slash uh, Facebook ads manager.
yeah,
Like all I've been, focused on recently is just the getting it in front of people, because it's a classic advertising thing where you can have the best product in the world, but if people don't know about it, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
So it's just been trying to find that avenue and trying to find like the higher up that can kind of step in and believe in it and give it the legs that it needs. And I'm trying to do it all on my own thus far. I've had some great like team members jump in, but yeah, it's just now just trying to make sure I shove myself in enough people's faces
yeah.
digital,
And
which
like
is even harder.
everything you said too is exactly why I built this platform, because we both grew up in Toronto, with the Much Music and all these different like MTV Live, like we had these things. But to your point, like this is why I built this platform, because artists like you in the city need the platform so they can showcase their music and things like that. So that's like a really good point to
Well,
make.
actually, just to jump on that, because I think I'm super happy to see you doing this, because I think I know what you're kind of saying. I totally agree. Like the UK and the US has these great like Beats One, and even Triple J in Australia.
Yeah,
Like we have CVC music and all that, but it feels like it doesn't really have the actual like cultural significance that like a BBC One and all those things have. So and Beats One and all that. So I think it's great, and I think that Toronto needs something like that
yeah, for
that
sure.
had great interviews and great. So good on
Exactly.
you.
Because yeah, for sure. Because like way too many talented artists like yourself in the city that just there's nothing, there's no press, there's no like, and then it puts you in a perspective where it's like, okay, like for you, for example, you're a fan of music, you love what you're doing, but then now you have to focus on marketing yourself and doing all these things, and and like you said, like Australia has Triple J, they have their own thing, right? But
Yeah.
going back to the music, so I know just before you released Thoughts from Car, you at university, going to school. How did that work for you? I guess just the idea of I've talked to a few artists where they gone to school, but then they're balancing jobs, but you know they really wanted a career in music, and eventually it did pan out for them. For you at university, I know that's where you connected with Mike from Valley. Tell me about, I guess, that story. And I know not to pile on the question, but a lot of the things I've seen you read about, like how you've been pestering people and annoying them, I want you to know that's like you should see that as like a relentless drive. You shouldn't like knack yourself for that.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, explain that whole story.
Yeah. So I grew up in Toronto, and weirdly, I don't know. Like I've talked to a lot of people. Maybe I was just in a very odd area that didn't happen, but I just never met anyone that was like really serious about like let's make a band and let's make it like the biggest thing in the world. Like I met people that were like, okay, let's jam, whatever, but I never met people that were like, let's take over the world. And
Yeah.
that's what I always just thought in my head. I was like, I want to do this to the highest echelon. So, I went to high school, met a couple people, we jammed and stuff, but nothing really happened. Went to uni, and going to uni was just me being like, okay, this is going to introduce me into a whole new like pile of people, and I've got to find someone here, right?
Yeah.
So I would really go to bars and like be in line and like look at a guy and be like, long hair, kind of looks like you play guitar. Hey man, you want to like do you do music? Like I literally went through like a bunch of people and like nothing stuck, and I was like, holy crap, man! Like I was just freaking. I was looking for whatever I could find, and then I made like an old NoDisco song back in uni that is not really on the internet anymore. But I reached out to Mike because my friend or my roommate Zach, who actually co-directed the Unrelated music video, knew Mike because they grew up in Oakville. So then I hit Mike up. He mixed that old NoDisco song, which was called Satin White, and then from then I just like went to his place, and I think Rob from Valley, like the singer, and Alex from Valley, the bassist, had like a side project that they were like tracking at the time. And I remember just going into that room and just like seeing them actually tracking and recording shit professionally, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
This exists? So I was like, I am getting in here. So then I just was like, Mike, let's do something, please. And I sent him a bunch of demos. He was like, this is okay. And then finally, I did the Thoughts from Your Car demo with Zach and a guy named Scott King at Laurier. And it was like super lo-fi and sounded like some Joy Division stuff, like a Joy Division B-side. And then I went to Mike's one day and we were trying to track like older NoDisco songs that were just not working.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, this is it. So then we just wrote the hook. And then we were like, oh God, this is a song. And then we did a couple songs. And then I got accepted into that Babyface songwriting camp. And then that's when Milano hit me up. And he was actually a cousin of a friend of mine. So once Milano and I met, this is kind of like going past the question, but this is
keep going.
Like a key thing. But once Milano and I met, the first session we ever did, I swear to you, the first thing we even started was Love You Early. Like the third NoDisco song.
Yeah.
The first thing we ever worked on. Like it just started and that was it. Was Love You Early. So as soon as that happened, I was like, this is the guy. So ever since then, like Milano's been like a godsend. Like that guy is incredibly talented, and I'm so lucky to work with him. And we've got so much stuff that we finished, but like I said, now it's just like about planning and strategically kind of releasing things, because I've spent my whole life kind of studying the come-ups of certain acts, and I just know that as much as people like to be like, oh, it just happened so organically.
Yeah.
There's so much planning behind the scenes that no one knows about that I'm happy that I clued into. And now I'm trying to like do that for myself, because that's just the reality of the industry that, people don't, or not everyone thinks about, but, select people do. And it's very important to really, really plan it.
Yeah.
So.
And you should definitely give yourself a lot more credit than I've read, because even with like the Babyface, songwriting camp, and you said it happened by fluke, and even meeting Mike from Valley and pestering him, a lot of the things that you've done, whether it's sending a bunch of emails, whether it's showing up to the songwriting camp and doing all these things, that's like your way of working towards what you want. And when I read your interview, I think I forgot what the press was, but I kind of saw myself in that perspective, in that sometimes you can be so in the moment that you're not like realizing like you said, the behind the scenes of like the hard work that you're doing. And on the note of the come up and things like that, when you released your first single and it had that success, as a fan of music and understanding like the debut aspect of it, how did that success help you into getting that confidence, like that first step, like, okay, the first single worked, now it's time to really push through and keep releasing however many singles you've released with, and like Love You Early and Moonlight in the Bedroom. How did that first single really help?
Well, the thing is, you know, I was like raised to always have high expectations and not to be a pessimist and stuff. But there was something about like my expectations were extremely high. Like I I kind of reiterated before, it's like I want the world, right? So when I put out that song, I knew how good it was. I invested in, having Chris Zane mix it, who did like Passion Pit, St. Lucia, um, and we got through him, we got a great mastering engineer, Joe Laporta, who's, sterling sound. So I was like, okay, I love this song. But again, it's the classic industry thing where it's like, if you don't have the right connect or the right person to believe in it, it's like, who knows what will happen. So I was lucky that when I released that song, Valley was on tour with Band Camino. So they had tons of eyes on them. And when I released it, they shared it because obviously, Mike worked on it and they're friends of mine. So I don't know, like it just worked. So not to say that it was like this overnight hit because, it's not really, but it just started streaming really well. And because I just knew about, Spotify algorithms and all that, I was like, God, it needs to get this because I don't have like the Spotify connect yet and all that. So luckily it just started getting kicked into the Spotify algorithm really quickly because it makes sense. And honestly, this would be one of my biggest pieces of advice for anyone who's like launching a debut thing is like, if you have like a decent network of people, so like for example, Valley listeners, when that dropped, it made sense that Valley listeners and Band Camino fans would like it. So when it dropped and the Spotify algorithm was seeing that these fans were just like eating it up, it's very easy for Spotify to be like, oh, okay, well, let's just show it to these fans because clearly all these people have Thoughts from Your Car by NoDisco, but also Band Camino and Valley and, whatever other band in their playlists. So let's just introduce it to them. So because of that, it just kicked into Discover Weekly and then started doing like pretty well. And then, that just kind of led up to having a great release plan for Moonlight in My Bedroom, which also went well. And Love You Early is a different story. I'm a little disappointed with the performance thus far, but that's okay. But Unrelated is also doing great because now that, I kind of built that like Spotify bedrock that is so integral. This time, and I also distribute through Level, they've been incredible and literally like team members. They've been really helping and pushing the project along. So Unrelated is doubled / tripled any of the debut numbers of the other songs. So I'm excited. And the Spotify support has been amazing. Tons of playlists.
And I know after the Babyface songwriting and the idea of community and things like that and working with other writers, I know that now I think you said that in the future or even now that your focus is really like having it to yourself, I guess, like the writing, like, and even whether, I know you've said like you're not a producer, but I give the sense that you will eventually want to put more control into what you do. Talk to me about your songwriting process and your interpretation of pop, because I know you're a fan of Max Martin, and I am too, because I think his type of pop, people don't like, they hear the music, but they don't really realize like the depths of it. So so talk to me about that, because that's that's a really cool thing.
So the thing is that I actually do consider myself a producer. The only thing I don't like about myself is that I'm a little like ADHD, and I just have always found it very hard to learn like the technical aspects of producing. But like I kind of said before, all of the creative kind of ideas of how a song is going to go count as production, because that's what I learned from Babyface. Like I was really insecure at the camp, and I talked to him, and I was like, like I'm not behind the computer, but like I'll be like, this has to be the bridge, and the guitar needs to come in here, and it needs to go, it needs to be stereo, and it needs to go left to right, and like so I have all these production ideas. I'm just not like engineering them. So I have production credit on the songs because I am producing. I'm just not, the guy behind the computer. And that's like becoming pretty commonplace now, I think. But anyway, so back to the song camp. Wait, what was the song camp question? I kind of forgot.
So it was like now you want more control over the songwriting in terms of
Right.
like you like the idea of co-writing and working with people, but I read that you want more control of the music and the songs and things like that.
Yeah, well, okay, this is my thing, because co-writing is cool, but for me, I've just realized that the best music I make is with people like I love. So like Milano and I will get in the studio, have a fucking blast, and just be laughing, whatever, and then it just happens so naturally. But the thing that I realized with the camp is when you just throw people that don't know each other in a room and go make a song, it's like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know like what record you love. Like Milano and I it'll be like 2 a.m. and we'll be sending each other, references and records with like crazy ad libs on the end, and you know what I mean. So then by the time we hit the studio, we know, let's take this, let's do that. So co-writing there's become this like cultural thing around co-writing, and it's fine. But for me, I kind of want because I think that like how a Max Martin or a Dennis Pop or a Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis kind of hone their sound is by working together, right? So I want like me and Milano's sound to become a thing.
Yeah.
So if I introduce too many people into the picture, I don't end up having my own sound, if that makes any sense. So that's my kind of hesitancy towards co-writing, just simply because of the fact that I want people to be like for example, I want people to be like, Thoughts from Your Car, Moonlight in My Bedroom, Love You Early. Oh yeah, it's the same people that produced Unrelated. And then, Milano and I made a song that's like super Smashing Pumpkins, like 90s grunge, right? So I want people to listen to that and be like, these guys like also made this R&B song, like this 90s, early 2000s R&B song. So that's what's important to me. I don't want people to see all these credits and be like, who's actually doing this? I want people to see like my name, Milano's name, and even like Mike Brandolino's name and be like, these guys make this sound. So that's why I say that.
Sure. And usually with my interviews, when it gets to near the end, I'll tell an artist, like how is the rest of the year going? I know shows and all of these stuff, but with COVID and things like that, I've detoured away from that. Now I like ask artists, a general question. And so for you, being a fan of music and like being able to kind of take a step back from it and kind of view yourself as, like NoDisco is a project and you're encompassing what you would always want an artist to be. For you, in releasing records, and I know you said you performed as well, in being NoDisco, from the inception of the idea to where you are now, how has the journey been for you in terms of like really being a part of something that you've kind of wanted to be a part of from a fan's perspective too?
Yeah, like it feels very good because like it feels bad in a way because the live part was so integral to it, but yeah, I'm just going about this project as if I was like, because I am very picky. Like I listen to almost exclusively stuff pre 2005. So for me, I just wanted, aside from like a few like modern things I listen to, like for me, I just want to make a project that would like wow me, because I'm like super picky. Like there are modern acts that really impress me, but they're they're kind of like few and far between, like in terms of like a whole entertainment whole. So I just want to hit that echelon that, like, even from the beginning, um, I've created a project that, like, okay, like it needs development. The live show isn't quite there yet. I don't know about the branding. I don't know about this, that. Like, I don't want there to be any like second guesses about like what this is about. I wanted from the beginning for it to make sense and for someone to look at it and be like, okay, I get that. So just being able to start this and like I've said, I kind of planned this for years and years and years. So now to have actually begun and, releasing merch recently, and just, it feels like I have the whole package now. And it feels good to have finally hit that mark and have it as the whole thing I wanted it to be, aside from shows, which I know I keep bringing up, but like, oh my God, it's like the most depressing thing in the world.
Yeah,
but
it really is.
What can you do?
Yeah, I can, like, last show I went to was Tyler, the Creator, back in London in September, and I did not know that was going to be like the last show, so it's really depressing. But yeah, final question. I've kind of been holding this one in for a while. So what's the infatuation with Dawsons Creek?
I don't know, man. Like, I started watching that show, and it was just so, like, I don't know how to explain it. Just the mood of it, just like, I love what I love about it. Honestly, is that the show is about Dawson, who writes or is making like a TV show or a movie. I can't remember. TV show or movie that's kind of like, what's it called? When you write about yourself, biopic? No, not a biopic. Like, it's self-referential.
Yeah.
Like he's
Like
writing this movie, but Katie Holmes' character in the show is like the character in his movie, and like he is kind of writing about his infatuation for her as that TV character that he's writing, but it's actually like his real feelings. So, and then just the focus on the bedroom and stuff. That's why a lot of my visuals are, the unrelated video and the moonlight, and then going forward, it's going to be a center point as well. Is I just love that, like, that homey kind of like feel, that it just feels like just new age romantic, visuals and so all around kind of vibe. So, and then also, like, my project is like a 7, I don't know if it's going to be 7 or 8 song conceptual like mixtape that is about my previous relationship. And from the first song to the last song, it's like chronological order of the relationship. So for me, like, Dawsons Creek is that. Like, this record also is just very self-referential. And I guess that's why I just love it so much. Is the Moonlight in My Bedroom cover art was like from like a Dawson's Creek reference. There was like a shot of him and Katie Holmes, or Dawson and Katie Holmes, kissing through like a bedroom window, and it was all kind of like silhouette-y. Yeah. And I was just like, I need to do something like that. So it's just the mood. It just has a mood, and it's just been a big influence for me, just as an overall approach to kind of this project.
For sure, man. But yeah, man, thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the platform.
Thank you.
Really excited to have discovered you, especially knowing that you're even from Toronto too. Your music is really, really great, man. I'm excited to see you grow and keep releasing.
Thank you.
Given, I know you said like, I never really came into this with a band or any connection and thing like that. But if you ever need advice on anything, man, like, just reach out and things like that. But
Absolutely.
Stay safe, take care, and I literally can't wait to like listen to that mixtape and see you and do shows and things like that.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
Take care, man.
Okay, peace out.
Peace out.
Studio One.